let's go and see what happened about some 8 years or 8 years ago. When we come back, let's talk about it with the National Cathedral.
13, quote, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, unquote. I am firm in my view that by the grace of God and through Christ who strengthens me and my government, all the programs and policies being rolled out, which were once described as overly ambitious and not feasible by some, whether it is a free senior high school, planting for food and jobs, one district, one factory, one village, one dam, and the development of our road and rail infrastructure, amongst others, will be implemented to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. The execution of these policies will help lead us onto the path of progress and prosperity. And through Christ who strengthens us, the National Cathedral will be built to the glory and honor of God.
We can skip the latter part of that particular speech, but let's deal with the issues, shall we? The Minister of State in charge of government communications has been speaking. Mr. Felix Ofosu-Kwakye has been speaking about it. He's reiterated that the Ghana Airport Company Limited is the one that is in charge of this, and it's a commercial entity and engages in some of these revenue-generating projects. And there was also the case of government does not have any hand, as in spending any peswa, even 1 peswa in that. You have some 3 minutes. This is by way of some initial comments before we get into Ghana at the Crossroads. Dr. Samuel Appiah-Marfo, 3 minutes. Let me hear your thoughts on this particular thing, whether or not indeed we're spending money on this, whether or not government might have had any hand in it, and whether or not they should at all.
Thank you for the question, but I think that government should spend a hand in it, have a hand in it.
Okay.
To spend money. You see, one of the things that I just wanted to just chip in before we go further has to do with what took place in Germany in and around 2009.
Unknown caller.
In and around 2009, about the Marshall Plan for Africa. Under the Marshall Plan for Africa, there is a point that was made, which is Africa needs African solutions. You see, if Africans, particularly those of us on the continent of Africa, Ghana, we need our own solutions to our own problems. We don't need a cap in hand, I've said it before, to visit anybody to be able to come and help us for our own, issues. We need real solutions. And if Africa needs an African solution, I want to tie into what Lederock in 1995 said. To him, he said there is the need for an elicitive approach in dealing with issues, not prescriptive approach to Africans. If we Africans believe that which we just saw, I didn't really see the pictures very well, with all due respect. But what I do know is that Africans need to spend for the betterment of Africans. I don't subscribe to the view that when America wants to take a decision, now that we are seeing Trumpism, whatever they are doing it for themselves. Do not do it for what Africans. And then make sure that to make America great, we want to make Ghana great. I rest my case. We'll talk about it later.
Absolutely. We'll deal with that later. But I know you're a very handsome doc and very intelligent one as that. If you can afford us your face, we'll be very glad. Is that okay, doc?
What do I do? What do I do?
The video.
Just a minute, I've seen it.
Absolutely. So I'll come to you pretty soon on that particular one. Let me come to Prof on this particular one. Doc says it's okay. Let's spend money and deal with our own issues. After all, what? Yeah, we're Africans. If we don't spend on ours, who would we? And I agree, partially. Let me hear you, Prof.
Well, I want to thank my brother for also making that comment. I can see the passion that's coming from him. It's one thing having a passion. It's another truly having the resources to back the passion.
Right.
It's also another thing having the knowledge and the skill set to back the passion.
Okay.
And I totally agree that we don't have to be reliant. I mean, last week when I spoke here, I said we should be grateful to Trump for stopping aid because it's going to give us innovative ways to be self-reliant. I've been innovating ways to sustain myself since my parents stopped looking after me. So I found ways to take care of myself, my wife, my children, and be a blessing to a lot of people. So I think it's time that we start thinking about ourselves. The challenge to me is that we don't love ourselves. Africans don't love ourselves to the point that when we are in our own company, we look down on ourselves. We don't share opportunities among ourselves. We don't share blessings among ourselves. We try to look onto other people. So even though we have freedom, tomorrow is going to be what, 57 years?
Oh, 60.
60. Oh my goodness, 68?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. So 68 years of independence, trust me, most of them is just be on paper. But in reality, we've still not been independent. We've been slaved to in reliance of other people. So I think, yes, we got to spend on ourselves, but the expenditure also has to be carefully planned, crafted, so we don't use emotion. We don't use too much emotion to say, yes, let's make Africa great again. Let's make Ghana great again. That is true. But sometimes the vehement in which others speak, when they sneeze, we get cholera, you get cholera, nobody cares. So we need to still be circumspect, not be under anybody's cup of tea. However, we have to make sure we put our background resources well and make sure the foundations on which we are speaking, our feet is on the stone. At the moment, we wobble. We don't have anything on our feet. So we need to rebuild the Ghana that we want to be successful. So that's my point.
Absolutely.
Koku,
Yeah.
good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to our viewers. My brother, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
My brother on Zoom, good morning too. What's your question?
Should we spend money? Should we even have the president go for some of these things? I mean, we have, even if not even, we have the community. They themselves could want to even go and partner with the Ghana Airport Company Limited. They could take it amongst themselves. They have business people who could also even put monies and see it blossom so that they get their own benefits and profits. That could be done.
Do you believe in the question you're asking?
Of course.
You believe in the question you're asking?
Of course.
Really?
Of course I do.
Is it just because of the show you're asking that question?
No,
because
no.
Ghanaians are not patriotic. We've lost that patriotism. We've lost it. We come before country. You cannot come before country. Country first. All the international companies in this, foreign companies in this our jurisdiction, you think they are coming for their own benefit? Huh? They're coming to make their country better.
Right.
And a typical example is in our gold industry.
Our ports.
Well,
France.
let's even talk about the natural resource.
Right.
When they come in, it would be great when they come in and say, oh, Ghana, we love you so much. We are coming. We want gold. However, we will build a refinery in here so that we all benefit. Do they do that? They take the gold out to better their countries. Our own former vice president went to Saudi, Dubai, and they told him, this year, we have imported 8 billion worth of gold from Ghana. 8 billion worth of gold from Ghana. He was happy. He came back to look at the balance to see whether that 8 billion is really reflecting in our economy. You know what he found? 2 billion. So that balance, where did the money go? Where did the money go? Today, on the news, there are some people who have dug the center of a town doing galamsey, and there are some others who are against it. Go and see what is happening there. We lost something along the way. Because in my day, and right now, Ghana is just a few months older than me. Ghana was independent in, in March.
Right.
I was born in November.
Oh, I see.
So I'll also be 68 this year.
Ooh.
But we lost something In my day, when I was growing up, you dare not do certain things. Country was first. Your gutters were swept. Your house was neat. The bus, I used to take bus to school. You could time your waking up to the time the bus will come to the bus station, the bus stop. What went wrong? And we haven't really sat down to find out what went wrong, because something has gone wrong somewhere. Why is it that we are the center of the earth? The Greenwich Meridian and the equator cross at Tema, makes us the center of the earth. And we have tons of natural resource, including human resource. Why is Singapore a first world country who have no natural resource and we are languishing at the bottom? Why? So what, you want to blame the governments we put in? No, us. I'm pointing at you. How many fingers are pointing back at me? Three. Means we have the responsibility. Really and truly. We can't even feed ourselves. With all the arable land we have, we cannot feed ourselves. Tell me, what farm is on plantation basis in Ghana? Tell me. What? Travel from Accra to Kumasi, land left, land right. What do you see? What do you see? Tell me. Do you eat bush? Isn't that all we see? And somebody might come into this country who has never been in this country, travel on the road, look left, look right, and ask, Ghana, is this what you eat?
I hear it's beautiful from the sky. If you're in the sky, it's very beautiful.
What is beautiful?
The bush. But what's your take on the Hajj? What's your take that we have to? Do we have to have a hand in it? Before I go to the next question.
Do we need it? Yes, we need it.
Okay.
Why not? If the private sector can be part of it, yes. If government can put money in it, yes. Because it is needed. Look, it's not the same thing as the National Cathedral. That's a different kettle of fish. That is a different kettle of fish. The National Cathedral, was it a government, was it in the manifesto of the NPP?
No. By some point, fine.
Wait. Was it in the manifesto of the NPP? Was it on the campaign trail of the NPP? It's our president at the time who said he had a personal what with God. And he promised that if he allows him to win the election, he would build him a natural cathedral. Wasn't that the basis? And then it then metaphors into our budget. But even so, even if at the time the president thought we need a national cathedral, don't you open it up for discussion by the people? I believe if he had opened it up, people came in, we discussed it. At least that particular national cathedral, we are heading for 70 in how many years? 2 years.
2 years.
What are we going to show for our 70th birthday?
There's a big question. We need to continue to ask this question until we get answers. Let's get into the economic crisis and corruption, must we? Or shall we? I'll go back to Doc via Zoom.
You didn't let me finish.
Oh, you didn't land.
I wanted to tell you that the amount of money we spent in that national cathedral, that money could have been spent, apart from the money, all the buildings that they broke down is part and parcel of that money.
Yes.
Who is being held responsible? And that's one thing we don't do well in Ghana. People do things over and above, and nobody holds them responsible, so they go scot-free.
Right.
We don't crack the whip the way we are supposed to crack the whip. What is Trump doing in his country? He's cracking the whip. When President Rawlings was here, he cracks the whip. But somewhere down the line, he stopped cracking the whip.
I see.
It looks as if that's the only thing we in Ghana here and Africans understand.
Okay.
Because this continent is not a poor continent.
At all. Well, let's talk about economic crisis and corruption. Thank God for the economic forum that happened 2 days. I understand. Well, I was of the view that could have taken 1 week. Yes, how expensive it is, 1. 2, but I understand there were breakout sessions, and so some ideas were put down on paper. They promised that it would find expression not only in the budgets, but how even SOEs are run. Let me come to you, Doctor. What are the root causes of Ghana's current economic crisis before we deal with corruption? And how can they be addressed? If you can just touch on 2 because of time constraint before I go to the next panelist. Doc.
I think the root causes basically first has to do with what Ghanaians, and I can hear the fellow panelist, Mr. Djantuah, talk about it forcefully about the attitude of what Ghanaians. I think that it is imperative we look at the attitude of Ghanaians. If you consider, me coming from the academia, I want to cite Jechi in 1998 when he talks about African cultural values. In fact, the title of the book. And he cited Nanase Oforiatta the first and said that a people without culture are characterless. Now, character formation of Ghanaians was more or less rooted in our culture, so to speak. So our culture is foundational, and it looks as if over the years, probably in the course of probably the issues of globalization, talk about it, and many other things that are interplaying, we've been acculturated to the extent that we no longer consider our culture. And so to the extent that you find Ghanaians doing things haphazardly and not even listening to their parents, as it were. Young girls and young boys dress the way they want to. Others want to get rich quick. In fact, when I returned from the States, I got to know that for you to get money, it is easier for you to consider all court. It's easier for you to be at home without even, to shower. And so on the basis of that, individuals felt that once doing that, it is easier for them to make money. So the issue of being serious in working, to put your hand to the plow and work on the land, we do not even accept that. When we were growing up, if you remember, when a teacher want to punish you, sometimes they also direct us to go to the backyard of the school and go and weed. So that we associate pain to such weeding, doing agriculture. But agriculture is not only weeding or tilling of the land, but also railing of animals. We can amply talk about a guy like Akuko Dakun in those days, who was one time a politician. We can also see Dumelo and the likes, young, vibrant individuals into poultry. There are so many areas that we can talk about, and as far as probably the mining is concerned, let me leave it for now. But as far as Agric and many others who would affect the Ghanaian economy and affect the standard of living of Ghanaians, I think there is a need for us to go back in that. We've not over the years, and we've been quiet and watching it. And because of such attitudinal issues, we do not do well. And many Ghanaians want to work in, blue-collar jobs, white-collar jobs, do not know that the actual money is in the places where we find ourselves that we can do and till the land and enter into other things. And we do not do that. Now, let me bore you further. You realize that because of this, and to cite another document, and that document that I'm citing has to do with the Agric Development Bank document, 2017, when they talk about the fact that Africans, for that matter, Ghana or Africa, we trade with Europe 70%, and we trade with the Far East 50%, and amongst ourselves as intra-trade, we trade amongst ourselves 14.5. Where will we go? The attitude of Africans had made it very difficult towards very impossible for us to do well. We in Ghana today, tell me, we import tomato from Faso. Are you telling me that we also import the what they call it, chips, the thing that we use in tickle our ears? We import them. Are you telling me nobody is in this country with such knowledge to be able to actually come up and do that for us here? So we are not growing what we eat, and we are not eating what we grow. It is stemming from the attitude of Ghanaians. It is stemming from what probably over the years things that have happened, and it is impacting us negatively. It affected the economy, affected the politics, affected the social life, and every aspect of our life. So I think that it is very necessary when we come to what the attitudinal change, it needs to be overhauled. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad that you started on that. You see, for someone who probably has had his life in academia, I was expecting to hear some macroeconomics issues and all of that. Apart from Preston Rawlins, by far even Professor Tamils, who had branding office and all of that, the issue of culture is not on a front burner, even for the man who wants to research the country. Because if you look at the policies around, I don't hear so much around culture. And the young people, yesterday we dealt with it when the very, very oldies, Mr. Bekusego and Mr. Adai Sebo joined us here. We are here, and culture, issues of culture here, and people who are associated with culture only have to do with Nkrumahists and all of that. And that's what we see and all of that. So if we're talking of attitude and it's tied to culture, then I'm not sure we're going to have to come out of that conundrum, would we?
We should, we could, and we have to, in the sense that it's more of a mindset change. I think over the years, we feel that if we dress a certain way, we speak in a certain way, that makes us unique. I think it's about time we appreciate who we are. I'll be honest with you, I honestly do not like being called Evans, because the meaning of Evans has no strong meaning than the meaning of Salom. So then I'm like, we tend to also think that, and this is connected to culture and our own development. We tend to feel, what's your Christian name? It has to be English name. It's a problem. What's your Christian name, if you're a Christian for that matter? It's a name that depicts Christian name. Salom says God loves you. At the point they say Evans means a challenger. Later they said it meant something. So you ask yourself, so we have been mindset indoctrinated. So I think we need to start owning our own selves, to the point also to the food we eat. When I've been back I'm back now. And I've been back, I'm visiting. But I'm visiting there now. I'm now back in the country.
Okay.
But the point I'm saying is I've been eating a lot of local food, because the truth of the matter is I'm supporting the local economy. I'm supporting my fellow people. I'm not supporting a lot of importation, because we are overly reliant on everything importation, from the dresses we wear, from the food we eat, to everything. It's also a mindset of culture. We need to appreciate what we have. You see me dressing very local most of the time. There's a reason for it. I have so many suits out there. I wear them when it's necessary, when I have to. But mostly, I'm very, 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 I appreciate my culture. So I wear the dresses and support the industry, the tailors, and everything. That is a problem. If you talk about the problems of the economy, link it to our culture, also has to do with fiscal mismanagement. When the resources are there, I believe some of the aids recently got stopped because they realize when the money comes, it's going to go into a deep hole. So when we are mismanaging our own resources, it also has a problem. Limited industrialization is also a big deal. My brother here was talking about the years past. Listen, I wasn't born in those times, but not too far, in the sense that things that I had even seen in my limited time on earth for all these years, now when I go back even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I don't see them anymore. So question is, we need to be a better version of ourselves as a country. We need to be a better version of ourselves as people, but it starts with mindset. When I was in teaching innovation last week in around the TOPS executive education, we talked a lot about how we need to stimulate our brain to start innovating things. Why do we come from a timber country and then we import toothpick? It's unheard of. People laugh. We are a laughable country. When the import balance of trade is tilting negative on us, I don't think that's going to help us. We need to industrialize, and also, most importantly, sir, we need to increase our skill set among everybody, not just the youth. Sometimes we spend time on the youth, and all, because that's the very dangerous middle point, because of the youth are usually not the future anymore. The youth are the now. Enough of the future. They are the now. We need to empower them. But even people who are old, they can't even retire. People are not coming out with skill set. They don't have really good skill set. So you ask yourself, what's going on? So we need to increase also our skill set, mindset, to make sure that we love what we have, enjoy what we have, and then support it and support one another. I'll end on the note once again that we need to start supporting one another. Because I've seen a scenario. A professor at Legon has a junior invited who is a white lady, and this white lady who is a junior professor told me this story in the United States, that she was sad. She was going out to see her senior professor at Legon, and they went to one of the ministries and other places. They were blocking the professor and allowing her in because she's a white lady. And she's like, why are we treating our own people? This is somebody telling me this. That why are we treating her? And that's rather her boss. But because we don't value our own skin tone. We go out there, we get maligned. We come here, we get maligned. So it's a mindset thing that we need to work on. And until we do that background, that foundation is set for us, all other things will get affected, in my view.
There's a systemic failure. I didn't want us to belabor the point. I didn't want to belabor the point with the issues of systems that we've created. To an extent that young people have also been indoctrinated to follow the same path. So much so that we don't know where it's going to end. Because my colleagues who are currently at the helm of affairs, some of them even in parliament right now, who are some of them in my juniors, I've seen what they can do. And I know what they will do when they get to the top.
Positive or negative?
Negative. Extremely negative. So I'm saying that at what point will
so
this...
add it to it. Don't say you know what they can do. Add it to it so that we can...
Some too can do positive. So
well, you are talking more negative than positive.
So I don't know whether it ends. I was just talking about the Richard Mill lady, NSA, who was wearing $18 million. And I was saying that the family, also some of them went to meet him at the airport. You should be ashamed of getting close to such a woman, if not for anything at all, for wearing such a watch as a public servant. Because where you people are schooled, public servants cannot be seen to be living this opulent life. Talk to me about it.
Let me tell you something. I wasn't born in this country.
Right.
But because of the name my father gave me, it was never a challenge for me.
Okay.
My father never gave any of his children Christian names.
I don't intend to.
My full name is Papa Odikro Kwame Educhum Djantuah. Where does the Papa Odikro come from? The person I was named after is entitled to be a chief endangerer, which makes me entitled to be a chief endangerer. That's cultural, isn't it?
It is.
So if for anything at all, I'll try and find out what that means. How many? We are sitting here today, Ghana month. What language are we speaking? What language are we speaking? Ghana month. Independence. How many languages do you speak? Ethnic languages do you speak?
I speak one fluently. I hear one, but I can't speak them.
Is that not an indictment or not? I only speak one. I was in a disco for 7 years. I couldn't speak Fanti. But because you speak Tree and Fanti's here, you thought, oh, there's no need.
Fine.
But I should have learned it. I should have learned it. That is one thing Nyerere did for his country. Everybody learned Swahili. It was the first language. So you go to Tanzania today, everybody speaks Swahili. Even in their parliament. Our parliament here. Do we speak local languages? So how many rural people will even understand what is going on in parliament? Because you see, we've thrown the culture away. And we've allowed other systems to come in to take over our culture. Yesterday, what did you eat? What did you eat yesterday? Do you have children?
Yes.
You have children. What is the primary food you give them as children?
Rice.
How many times a week do your children eat local food?
Well, local means what? Poto.
No, local food. Our local, you know what our local food is?
Akple.
Whatever our local food is, akple, all those.
Oh no.
How many times?
I'm an urban man, so
Yes.
it's constant.
How many times?
I mean, you can get. They don't like to eat it.
How many times do they eat Indomie?
Oh, not my house. Oh no, not in
Go to other houses. Go to other houses.
Not
Do
in
you
my
know
house.
the effect of Indomie on the human body? Do you know how long it takes for Indomie to digest in the stomach? But we go out and we buy it for our children. We would rather take our children to Kentucky than sit at home and kill chicken for them to eat at home. Mindset change. And you see, this mindset change, we can only do it through effective leadership. Leadership, not only political leadership, but cultural leadership. The Ashanti culture is so strong, that's why it still exists. Go to some other places. Look, Ghana has over 60 languages. Is gradually losing those languages. Is it not important? We talk about culture. Look at our tourism industry. And tourism makes more money than oil and gas.
Yes.
What have we done to our tourism industry?
The tourism minister is not in cabinet.
The fact that it's not in, our chiefs are responsible for our tourism within our localities, aren't they? How many children today know about their culture? How many? The different Dinkra signs we've got, do you know the meanings of them?
No. We also have signs as well. I don't even know that.
You don't even know that one. Is that right? If we can't get that right, how do we expect the youth to follow culture? Asa, can you dance Agbaja?
Oh, of course.
Can you dance Bobobo?
Of course.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah. I'm better in Bobobo. I'm an Angloba, I'm better.
How many people can dance it?
All the cameramen, they cannot dance it.
They cannot dance it. Let me tell you something. Growing up, my father used to take us to Mensah, the seat of the Ashanti Kingdom. As you, because he's from that house.
Right, finally.
And we were young, so we were just learning. When I grew up, and I now had to go to Tumfo to say certain things, I had to learn how to do it. Because there's a way to do it. There are certain words if you use, even when you sit in front of a Tumfo and you cross your legs, it means something negative. You can't cross your legs. You've got to learn it. How many of our youth understand the culture? One thing that really gets to me that I didn't do was the fact that when I was in Adisado, instead of learning Akan, I didn't. I was actually at the back of the class. I wasn't interested. Today, I kick myself for not learning. Why? When you listen to some of the Ashanti and Akan proverbs, it says a lot. And you can use it to even change mindsets of people.
I see.
Have we done it?
Well,
So you see, the fact that we even have a government, we should try and craft a system where our culture and our ethnicity and the things that make Ghana a Ghanaian, we should learn it from that basic level. Once we learn it, you grow with it, and it becomes part and parcel of you.
I see.
And you tend to love your country better.
you cannot differentiate, you cannot keep corruption here and keep our culture elsewhere. It has to tie in. The reason why you've seen, as for that woman, I'll keep mentioning her name, the NSA former boss. I'll keep mentioning her name. Let's look at what Mahama promises to do with, he described this country as a crime scene, criminally run. And also, Ablakwa Okijeto Honorable, speaking on oral. When we come back, we'll talk about corruption and how, again, it ties in, how we can deal with it, right? We now understand how our economic fortunes can turn around. You got that, right? When we come back, we'll talk about corruption and how we can practically deal with it. Take a watch on these two videos. When we come back, we'll talk about that.
The economy was in crisis. But some of the things I'm discovering myself, it's been a criminal handling of our economy. And Ghana is a crime scene, actually, because how a government can have been so reckless, I cannot understand.
to conclude with some fascinating figures. The 36 cases that we have reviewed in detail, if we are successful in recoveries, we can retrieve as much as 20.49 billion United States dollars. 20.49 billion United States dollars. 36 cases, and that's from National Cathedral, PDS, SML. You have the GMPC Salt Pond decommissioning, and we decided that in this open session we will not go into greater detail, and so there's a great deal of resources belonging to the taxpayers that can be retrieved. Then we've also done an estimate of the state capture, the lands. If we successfully ask people to pay conservative market value for the lands they have looted, again, the experts are telling us that we can recover about 702.8 million United States dollars for the Ghanaian people.
That's the intention. I'll come to Doc on this. Doc, there has been talk about how polarized the courts are, how judges, and these are alleged allegations, these are allegations, how judges probably have blind loyalty for those who put them there. There are also people who are within the security services who also have the same blind loyalty. Then amongst the same politicians, they are in cahoot. They're in bed with each other. It makes the fight against corruption, no matter how you put these people on. Indeed, Mr. Mustafa Agbande, who is Deputy Operations at the Presidency, has also told us that quite a number of people are walking on the corridors of power and begging for their colleagues, begging for their siblings, who probably might be indicted in some of these cases. This is where we are. Can we truly fight this corruption? Of course, recover all this loot? Doc.
Yes, corruption is quite a phenomenon that is all over the world. You need to understand it, but each interpret it differently. But when you look at corruption, the corruption has its many roots in so many things that happens, and you have named a couple of them right now. If you look at it, everybody in Ghana wants to be first. When a father wants their kids to be first, a mother say, when we are interviewing during the vetting, politicians bring their relatives and their kings and folks there. We are not interviewing them, we are interviewing you, the politician. The essence is that you, the politician, will want to know whether you possess what the requisite skill to be able to manage the affairs of this country. So I don't see those people present in the first place. That's one. And two, let me take you to the issue of culture, because we want a change, a perception, and a mindset to deal with some of these bases. You see, if you read a guy like Johnny Beatty, I am not going to go because I'm going to the root of these things. Johnny Beatty says that in 1969, basically, he says that African is notoriously religious. In other translations, they say African is stupidly religious. The religion forms the basis of an African culture. Religion formed the basis of an African man going to the land, knowing very well that the land that he's going to, he's holding the land in trust for posterity. Religion taught the man that from the beginning of planting and to the harvesting of the crops, he believes in a supreme being who is actually looking at him pertaining to the things that happens on the land. So therefore, if the environment in which he finds himself, if the environment, the water bodies, the vegetation, the timber law, the mines, what have you, are there to be held on for posterity, we will not, as even chiefs, connect with a man or somebody who comes from a place like China, who is a Buddhist, do not understand the basis of what? The land. And then now this individual, we team up with them because of our own pocket and want to make so much money. And we want to be first. We want to get everything first. We want to have the money so that somebody in our locality would look at us and say, yes, didn't you see this guy? He's riding in this car. This one is riding in this. Where have you?
Hello, Doc. Right. Right. We lost Doc there. We'll try and bring him back. I promised myself that anytime, if I have an opportunity to become a minister, when I'm going to that vetting, no single person, nobody even carry my bag. I'll go there alone and I'll deal with the issues and come back. But corruption, corruption. I mean, the systems I laid, there are even more. There are layers that people would go off the hook, would be let off the hook. That's what I believe. People will not be held accountable for these things. How do we fight it then?
I mean, I think that one of the things we got to look at is greediness. You see, greediness is the root cause of corruption. When you are greedy, you're selfish, and we call it the hyena spirit. I'm telling you, corruption is going to be your middle name. All right? And then corruption can be defined in different ways. You know, the way somebody, for instance, on basic, can lie, but so it's a white lie. But somebody sees that lie to be, no, it's not right to do that. Same way they see corruption. So I say, oh, just steal a couple of millions to just ask for forgiveness, forget it. And also, to me, if you ask me, the presidency has been too strong protected in the Constitution. And I'll explain. If you look at our Constitution in Ghana, all other ministerial places, and I don't want to see corruption only at the state and public service. We are even publicly, privately, people can be corrupt. A lot of people are corrupt, but I mean, now we're talking about state corruption. So let me focus on that. The presidency in the Constitution is overly protected. So if anything happens in the presidency, it's protected. Because we don't want any malignment. We don't want a situation where in the future people use it as a political weapon to just. So for that, I think we have to have a constitutional review. Not to say they should still be protected, but what if all the corruption happens through the presidency?
Yeah.
So that is my problem first. If you study the Constitution very well, so everything channels that, so the presidency is off the hook. Every other person.
Most of the deals were done through the consolidated fund, which of course is at the president.
It's at the president. So that's the point I'm saying. So we need to strengthen that. And also we need to improve on anti-corruption laws. We need to encourage whistleblowers and protect them.
Yeah.
Because what is happening is someone who blows the whistle and is not protected, the person is not going to be encouraged next time to come and blow in a whistle, because what's the gain for that whistleblower? So it is important. And also we got to investigate a whistleblowing, because people, whether some people might not be corrupt, but just because they don't like you, they're going to blow the whistle. So we got to investigate and not just take any case for say. So we need to do all this and empower the citizens, taxpayers, and everybody to be vigilant. It doesn't mean that people are not doing genuine things to be successful. That's not what I'm saying. I'm a businessman. So wherever I go, I make sure my foundations are strong. It's a different conversation. My mindset and what I do is different. However, some people from nowhere, with all due respect, I know some people, I said it in another TV station about a month ago, that there are some of our folks who have been very successful. So I don't want to be taken out of context. However, you don't just go to school, become SRC president, make noise at tertiary institution, no experience, no background, nothing. Then all of a sudden you're a minister. No, not even in the public service you have experience over some years. Learn to fail. Because learning to fail is learning to succeed. Yes. So sometimes it's important to put people there to make sure that they are the right people. Most importantly, for this type of corruption not to happen, have people who are smarter than you to surround you. The fact that you have the title does not mean that you are the expert doing the same job. So we need to tackle corruption not just by talk. Because in the books, we have it written. But the implementation is almost zero. So we got to work on that. That's my view on that.
This probably, both of us are coming from some idealist point of view. The reality is staring at us. Yesterday, when I was speaking to Mr. Abeku Sego and Mr. Ade Sebo, the understanding was that even during Nkrumah's time, we had these characters around. there were characters around, not only in his government, the oppositions also had these characters. So it's not as though it was just a very good picture around. Nkrumah was trying his best within these very difficult times and opposition and all of that. So what it means is, why do we get heavily blamed for not following what Nkrumah did? Because when he was overthrown, they unleashed those things on us. And that's why we're here, aren't we? So how do we change?
My father used to tell me that if you do something, being a minister, and Nkrumah gets to know, when he calls you, know you're in trouble. Why? He has done his homework and has the information that he knows, and he's calling you to ask you. He won't show you that he has the information. He'll ask you the question. So, Effie, what happened? And listen to what you have to say. And if you go off cue from the information he has, 1 o'clock is waiting for you.
What happens at 1 o'clock?
Announce your... They used to announce it on the news.
Okay, GBC.
They won't even tell you. Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Mr. F.A. Djantuah has been removed as Minister of Agriculture. Straight.
That's all.
Straight. Why couldn't we continue? We demonized the man. I'm not saying everything Nkrumah did was right, but majority of the things he did put this country on a better footing. Young Pioneer Movement. Go read the Young Pioneer Code. If we follow that code, discipline would be heavy. And that is one of the issues in this country that we don't look at. Discipline.
Was it formalized, the Young Pioneer Movement? Was it formalized where you have to go to a school to become a young pioneer or...
No, it was a CPP thing. But even in school, you would recite it at assembly. Primary school. I recited it in primary school, university primary. You recite it. So it becomes part and parcel. And as a young kid, you're walking in the house, you're home and you're walking in the house, and you're reciting it. What is that doing to you? It is instilling it in your mindset.
So GS can take up that. I'm saying just put together some disciplinary code.
If we want to
recital,
put it in, we can put it in. Because we've got to start from the young ones. There are certain things that I grew with that I still do today. Wake up in the morning, first thing I have to lay my bed. First thing, I still do it today. I cannot wake up and not lay my bed. It's the first thing I do before even brushing my teeth. And you talk about people coming to vetting. Doesn't Parliament allow it? At the end of vetting, what does Parliament say? Oh, and we are going to mention those people who were invited. For what? Those people who come there are not looking at country. Mebano, what did he? He's bringing something home. And it is those people who do what? Who put pressure on Kwame Djantuah, who is now Minister of Energy, to help them out. But my responsibility as a Minister of Energy is for country, not for individual. So the individual bit seeps in way before we even start what we're doing. How many of our ministers would you say have run businesses before? How many? How many politicians understand business setting?
What's the context? That they will better manage the country?
If you understand what business is, you understand what it means to handle money.
Oh, but we have seen a lot of the businessmen who have also messed up.
I said.
Okay, the understanding. That's the context. Okay.
Power.
Okay, all right.
Power. Look at Trump. Trump is totally doing business.
Okay, right, that's a context.
And he's going to a place where he knows can help his country, America. So if his enemy can help his country, he will go. In politics, you sleep with odd bedfellows because you want to get somewhere for your country.
I see.
How many of us think of our country today? Drive the streets of Accra at night and ask yourself, are we really thinking of the citizens? Common road line marking that will guide your car, none. Street lights, none. Headlights on cars, faulty. Police supposed to stop. Do they? Do they? Let me end by showing you this. And you talk about corruption. Tomato paste.
We are not doing this here.
Tomato paste. we import $1 billion of tomato paste. Rice, 1 billion of rice. Sugar and confectionery, 300 million. Flour, $600 million. Oh, not cedis. Poultry, 400 million. Fish, 245 million. Tomatoes, 100 million. Tell me, are you seeing all these products that I've mentioned? We cannot do it here. But what happens? What happens is that you get some politicians being part of this. Because one of the questions you need to ask yourself, how do politicians finance their party? Have we asked ourselves that question? Where does the money come from for politicians? I understand if you want to be a president of this country, you need nearly $100 million to do that. A parliamentarian, where did they find the money to stand? Have we interrogated it? In America, everything is documented. You remember they jailed some congressman for using party funding for his own personal interest. If we don't start looking at these things, how do we expect corruption to go? Because it's within us. Yeah. We would rather do the wrong thing than do the right thing. But Kogo, let me ask you, what are we using the money for?
Only those who are holding it can tell. I cannot.
No, is it the big cars? What? Look, the things that this phone. I bought this phone about 4 or 5 years ago. Today, this phone is obsolete. The good things that are supposed to be done are not yet done, but we are rushing. Rushing to do what? Where are we taking the money to? And you see, the sad thing about it is that, do you know when you die? Mm-hmm. When you die, won't you leave it behind?
Of course.
When you leave it behind, the people you leave it for, will they even handle it properly? But we are struggling and grabbing. And he was right when he said we are greedy. We are greedy. I should be able to do business with you together. I should be able to do business with him together to build our talent. He might have a talent, I might have a talent. I might not be able to do it on my own, but if I join with him, we'll be able to do it. But no, I want it for myself. Yeah. Because I want to sit in Rolls Royce on these streets. What's that kind of mindset?
I see. Lawyer Kwame Djantuah, Professor Evans Mensah, Dr. Samuel Appiah-Marfo are my guests. Let's open the phone lines now, even as we gravitate towards the final 10 minutes of conversations. And so you can call us now. Let's hear what your thoughts are with what we're discussing. Remember, we're talking about Ghana at the Crossroads. We're celebrating Heritage Month amidst very, very, very tight economic challenges that we have on the local scene here in Ghana. Galamsey is fighting us, corruption is on us, there are energy sector debts. ECG has been plummeted into debts on debts with individuals who have doctorates, who are lawyers and all of that.
Don't forget ECG's cousin. Don't forget ECG's cousin. Cocoa Board.
Cocoa Board. They are bedfellows. In fact, they are not cousins. They are bedfellows. They sleep on the same bed. Doc, what's the way forward? I know it's large. Our troubles are large, but what's the way forward, Dr. Appiah-Marfo?
Yeah, whilst I was making my point,
yes,
the lines went off.
Absolute. Forgive.
Yes, and so I was a little bit disturbed, so I had to call back. I think that almost all said and done, I wanted to actually just let me chip in this before I leave.
Please do.
Has to do with the issue of the Ubuntu philosophy. That is what Mr. Djantuah was really talking about. I am my brother's keeper. And it is also believed that two people make a child, but it is the community that raises the child. Yes. These are rooted in our cultures. And these are rooted. And the family base, the family has been one of the critical tools that Ghanaians must build from. If Djantuah always talking, he made mention of his father, he made mention of his mother, the thing is rooted there. He was taught basics from the community level. That the individual growing up realizes that we need to really take the thing up by teaching our children the basics, because corruption, as it is, can be defined in several modes.
Well, it's not only money.
I'm telling you. And if one doesn't really realize, if you go outside the country and somebody attend to you, you leave $10 or $20 on the table as a tip. Can that qualify as a corrupt? There are so many other things that we can really connect, and it tells you these things that corruption seems to have been. Sometimes people talk about it as for the perception, and even the America that the issues others are citing as an example, there are corrupt practices there. The police there are the ones that are allowing the fentanyl, bringing most of these cocaine and what have you from South America. Because people are greedy, human nature, we want to make money. We don't care about whatever is actually happening.
I see.
We need to be first. And so if the roots is not dealt with through the family, okay, you are likely to get individuals performing that kind of thing. So you ask me, sir, what next?
So hold your thoughts. Hold your thoughts on the what next. I just want to pick the thoughts of Nicolina, and I'll come to you for what next. Nicolina is calling us from Manette. Nicolina, can you hear me?
Yes, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to add that the gentleman was saying something of we being taught about corruption and everything, and then there was one who said our local foods and local stuff has to be taught to the children and all. But these things are not taught in schools. So I wanted to say it should be added in the education system rather, because where people go to learn is the schools.
Right.
Parents can chip in and all that, but mostly children listen to their teachers more than they listen to their parents. So I would say all these things need to be added to the education forum. Like there should be something done about the education system, and corruption needs to be taught more as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Appiah-Marfo, what's next?
Yeah, I think the issue has to do with education.
Okay.
We need to be able to move across very, very quickly to educate people right from the kindergarten up to even every one of us needed to be educated. Basically, how do we have to, and we do not stop studying or stop learning. It had to continue, because many of the successive governments that we have had have always played in such a way about our education system. Now they are having the economic forum. You mentioned it, they just finished, I think, 2 days or something.
Yeah,
what about the education? What about how do we educate our people? How are we educating them? Leadership bankruptcy, that one of the panelists talked about. The leadership bankruptcy has always been, we have become square pegs, in round holes. We train the human resource and give it to the Europeans. And they all move from here, they want to go. And meanwhile, when they go, they don't get any better job out there. What they do is they go and then remove dog poops all over the place. People are living and injecting insulin in certain people.
Oh, my word. We have a caller from Achimota is on the line. Can you hear me?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. You have some 1 minute. Talk to us.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for your dedication this morning. I thank you for Mr. Djantuah over there. Every day I learn from this man. Anything this man will talk, you see that the experience is there, knowledge is there, wisdom is there. What is a way forward for our country now? What's a way forward for our celebration for this thing, Independence Day? Please, the nation, I'm telling you something right now, nation has broke. Our youth, we are coming as a young man, young lady, we are fighting for. We are fighting for our future. We need a good leadership. Once the man is talking, I don't go there. But the one thing is, thank you for everybody. I'm a traveler. I'm a businessman. Now I'm in home. I don't have anything to move forward about this. My children is there. The nation has broke. Economy, especially the economy, has very broke. Please, let's pray for our nation.
Absolutely.
And we have a good leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're grateful for your call. We have some 4 minutes to wrap up. I feel old right now. I feel old because probably I don't think like a young man. Talk to me about the way forward. Tomorrow we are reflecting, reviewing, and researching. That's a theme for the 68th anniversary of our country. Right. What would you share with us by way of final words, really?
Well, I don't want to. There's a lot. We can use an hour really digress. This is a whole workshop. But I think the mindset change is one of the things that we need to really, and it's not just words, there are elements to the mindset change. Yes. And it has a spider diagram to everything. How we think, what we do, when we go for negotiation table, who is leading us. Not because you are the CEO, you should lead that negotiation because you might not be the right person. It doesn't demean you. Learn to sit back and lead from behind sometimes. But most importantly, I want to end on this. What do you have in your hands? When God called Moses in the bush, he was using a rickety stick, I believe, not the ones that they draw nicely, we see. Rickety stick. God did not ask him to say, go find a stick somewhere, throw this and fight. He could have done that. He said, what do you have in your hands? That stick was used to defeat Pharaoh's stuff, part the sea, do so many things. It was the same stick, by the way, he used in anger to hit the rock. Yeah. But the point I'm saying is, what do we have in our hands as a country? The opportunities, the resources we have. Let's stop the importation. We cannot stop it, but we have to reduce it for balance of trade from that level. We need to make sure that we do more of 80% of our own. We have the land, we have the resources. We have to train our people and pay them well also to enjoy working locally. That's very important.
Daniel is calling us from Alaji. We'll pick our last call before allowing Mr. Djantuah to give final words. Daniel, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can. Good morning to you all.
Good morning. You're on air. 1 minute. Let's go.
Yeah, please. I'll start by saying we have this proverb, which goes this way: people without culture are characterless. So what I want to tackle on is in Ghana, which is my country, our leaders have really failed us, both NPP and NDC. Could you believe that up to now we have schools which are in deplorable state? Up to now, in the 21st century, with much resources that we have as a country, and yet so we are still struggling as a country. When was Dubai? When was South Korea? So how come, yes, so we are still struggling? So I strongly believe language is also a barrier, because in Ghana, we have too many languages. And like when you have too many languages like that, productivity and development is very, very difficult to come by, because this is the case. You are speaking too many languages. So when you say this in an institution whereby we have different.
Hello, Daniel. Okay. Well, multiplicity of languages is not a barrier at all, though. It's rather a strength. It should be rather a strength. The final words, lawyer.
Look, if we think we can use religion to solve everything, we are kidding ourselves.
Right.
God created us, didn't he? What did he give to us? He put a brain in our head. He gave us natural resources. The other day, I was watching the news. The largest cruise ship was built. When I looked at this cruise ship, it's taller and bigger than the Statue of Liberty. I asked myself, so it's people's brain that built this. Yeah. We build rockets that go to the moon. Cars. Been able to build cars. This. So if you sit and there's no money in your pocket, and you think, oh, I'll pray, God will come and help. He will not come and help you. You've got to help yourself for him to also add. Me, I've learned that. And sometimes you've got to sit down for months just thinking through your trajectory. And it could start with a small pin. Mustard seed, what does it turn into? An oak tree. But you yourself have to look within yourself and find out what am I good at. You might start with something. That something is a stepping stone to get somewhere. Look, Ghana is blessed. But if we do not take advantage of the blessing God has given us, others will come in and take it away as they are doing now. We can do it. I believe we can do it. I'll end here. The one thing I want President Mahama to do is to crack the whip and tell all his appointees, if you mess up, I will mess you up too. Because that means you are not fit for the position I've given you. And if he has to change a position 3-4 times till he gets the right person, he should do it. Because what? He needs to set a certain agenda for the next person coming in. The country has, I don't want to use the word rotten, but where it's gotten to, it's not impossible to resurrect, but will the people who have been put in place, and will Ghanaians have shown that they want it resurrected from the election results. But the people put there, are they ready to resurrect the country?
That's a big question.
We have everything. We have everything. Population, maximum, 34 million people. Go to India. Are they not doing mighty things? And you're telling me 34 million people can't do mighty things? We can. We can. Mindset change.
Alrighty. Lawyer Kwame Djantuah is Senior Vice President, Freddie John Oil Company Limited. He is an energy expert and, of course, a practitioner. Professor Evans Mensah is business consultant in international supply chain and financial consultant. Senior lecturer at GIMPA, Dr. Samuel Yao. Appiah-Marfo also joined us via Zoom. Oh, righty, he's back, but we cannot take the final words because, of course, we have eaten too much into our time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. We thank you. We're back tomorrow to do it all over again. Tomorrow is Independence Day. We'll bring you another exciting time here on the show. My name is Kokulumo. God bless you. I'll see you soon.